Master Naturalists have developed a web page devoted to really showcasing the nature that is found in the park. The web page focuses mainly on the four distinct habitats that are part of here. You know, the trail that loops the entire circumference of the park takes you first through the forest. Then it'll take you across some of those wonderful bridges that allow you to look at the marsh. And while you're there, you'll see the creeks, whether it's Cypress Creek or Little Creek. That's the third habitat. And then finally you emerge into the open fields, which are part of the maintained grounds that we make sure are kept under low cover. And each of these are distinct. Some of the things that you see in the forest you will not see in the marsh, nor vice versa. And so our webpage is devoted to, first of all, telling you who is in each of those habitats. And we've done this by way of over 350 very astounding, amazing pictures from each of these places. And in the habitat you get to learn the names of the different types of herons that are there, the different trees, some of the plants that cover the ground, especially in the early spring. And then besides just knowing who is in the habitat, we describe something of the dynamics in our web page. We tell you about the relationships. Everybody wants to know who eats who in a particular habitat, so that's one of the things that we do. But what about how do plants deal with salt? What about the plants that just have to be where they are and okay, here comes the tide, it's high or it's low, and it's salty or it's more fresh depending on how much rain there is. How do plants deal with that? And then finally we have a photo gallery for each of the habitats. And so there you have just more pictures of all the things that live in those different places with a short description and a web page that takes you to a web link that takes you to some other place in describing something about that particular organism. The web page also has a place where you can go and look at all the interpretive signs that we have placed throughout the park. There's some 15 signs throughout the park that as you walk along the trails you encounter, and they remind you, oh, think about the mammals, think about the birds here, think about the reptiles. Everybody thinks about the reptiles when they're in the park. So that stops you for a minute and makes you pay attention to nature, and that's what we want you to do when you're here in the park.